Good afternoon. Today we are going to be talking about factoring equations. So you may be familiar with a quadratic equation in standard form. Standard form would look something like this. So you have your polynomial terms in order from highest power to lowest power. And then you would have some kind of coefficient, A and B, and you would have C, which is also your y-intercept. So in order to factor equations, I have a set of rules that I like to use. And in order to use those rules, our A needs to be positive. So A is positive. If not, factor out the negative. So just to review, if I have an equation like negative 5x squared plus, let's say 3x plus 1, and I want to factor out a negative, so I write the negative to the side, and then all my signs are going to flip. Now if these had been negative, then these would be positive, but because they're positive, they become negative. So once I have my A positive, then I can follow the set of rules. So there are 4 different combinations I can have for signs. I could have ax squared plus bx plus c. I could have ax squared minus bx plus c. I can have ax squared plus bx minus c. I can have ax squared minus bx minus c. So the first thing you want to take a look at is the sign next to the c. If your sign is positive, both signs in the binomial equations you're factoring, so my binomial terms would be the ones with 2. With 2 terms. So with a positive c and a positive b, both of these will be positive. When I have a positive c, remember both signs will be the same, but with a negative b, they're both negative. With negative c's, you end up with the same thing, one positive and one negative. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my factors of A and C. So for the positive c's, the multiplied factors of A and C added together will equal the B term. And that's the same for both of these. Now for the negative c, once again we're doing the multiplied factors of A and C, and those subtracted will equal the B term. Okay, so let's see these rules in action. So if I have an equation such as 15x squared plus 11x plus 2, then I'm looking at this term, so it's positive, so I know that both of my signs will be the same, and then I see this term, and that's also positive, so they're both positive. And then what I'm going to do is get the factors of these two numbers. So factors of 15 are 1 and 5, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, and then not by 4, and I already did 5, so I know I have all my factors. Now factors of 2, only 1 and 2. So what I have to do is combine these factors, so multiply them and then add them in such a way that I get 11. So I'm going to start with 1 and 1 and 15 and 2. So 1 times 1 is 1, 15 times 2 is 30. 30 plus 1 gives me 31, not 11. So now let me try the opposite combination with the same numbers. So now I'm going to try 1 and 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 15 times 1 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17, not 11. So now let me try the next combination of numbers. So I have 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 2 is 10, 3 plus 10 is 13, not what I'm looking for. Now let's see if I have 5 times 1 is 5, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 5 is 11, so I'm going to use these two terms, and I have to be careful which one is going to be multiplied by which. So I'm going to start with my x term, and I'm going to write 3x. Over here I'm going to write 5x. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, so I needed my 3 multiplied by my 2. So my 3 multiplied by my 2, which leaves the 1 over on this side. So then I can always FOIL to check. So this gives me 15x squared. This gives me positive 2. This gives me positive 5x. And this gives me a positive 6x. So there we go. 15x squared plus 11x plus 2. They match.